Hi, I'm Tommy Bello, and I'll be your section leader for the next few weeks as we dive into the fundamentals of computer programming using Python programming language. For today, we'll be talking about variables, their syntax in Python programming language. So now we ask, what are variables? What are variables? So a variables can be defined as a placeholder in which you use in your computer program or you're using your function to perform for operations to be performed in them. So to give a better understanding, I'm going to draw a visual representation. So imagine these two boxes as variables, which are going to hold certain values, and operations will be performed in them. Awesome. So let's come back to our basic mathematics of saying adding two numbers together. Adding numbers, you have to have numbers. So whatever you have in this variable has to be a number. So let's say 23. And let's call this also 23 or 13. Right. Good. So I'll be giving this as a variable name of variable 1. And giving it as a variable 2. So having these two variables, depending on what you have in a variable, right? That's that's when you can perform operations on them. And let's say you want to perform the operation of addition. Right. So we know having two variables in which they hold the number, the first variable holds the number 23, the second variable holds the number 13. Adding them together will give you an output of 36. All right. And that's the concept of a variable. Just think of a variable as a placeholder in which different types of values are put into it. Then depending on the values put into it, certain operations can be performed with it or operations can be changed. So there are four major types of variables in Python, which are integer, strings, floats, and long integer. Now that we have a basic understanding of what variables are and the variable types in Python programming language, we are going to write a program to calculate the weight of an Earthling on Mars. How do we go about this? From our problem, it is defined that an Earthling weight on Mars is 37.8% of their weight on Earth. So we simply have to write a Python program that prompts the user to enter their weight on Earth, then prints out their calculated weight on Mars. From line 5, we have a definition of a function, and on line 8, on line 9, the function is called if underscore underscore name is equals to main. Line 8 is simply a line of code which allows the Python interpreter picks this code as the main function. So now let's solve our problem. The first thing we do is to assign a variable of constant weight to 37.8. Now we can't write 37.8 as a percentage, so we just do the division of it, 37.8 over 100. The next thing to do is to prompt the user to enter their weight on it. So we use the input function, which is input, and pass the parameter, which is displayed in the terminal. And it says enter the user weight on X. Now, after prompting the user, the next thing is to assign the user's input to a variable. So I'm going to assign it to user's earth weight. For every input in which is put in into the terminal, it comes in as a type of string. So we have to convert that string type to a float type. This is called cast type in the programming. So we do float, which is an input function also, and wrap it around the input prompt. Now we have the constant rate and the user's earth weight. All we have to do is to perform the operation of converting it to the user's weight on mass. So we do that by creating a variable user's mass weight, and then performing the operation of multiplying the constant weight by the user's earth weight. So we do constant weight multiplied, which we use an asterisk sign to denote multiplication, and the user's earth weight. And we'll return the user's mass rate. So whenever our function is called, the calculations are done and it returns the user's mass rate. Now to print this out in our terminal, we use what is called the print function, which is also an input function, and then interpolate our value, which is gotten from the main function, to display a text. So we say users weight on Mars is whatever value is returned from the main function, kg. Awesome, right? So now let's run our function. Let's run our program to see if it's correct. So we run python main.py. It asks for a user's input. We put 12 kg, and the user's weight on mass is then returned. And is then returned. So we have now covered an understanding of what variables are, variables type are, and converting or casting variable types to different types.